Thursday. Thought I'd pull a funny face to start. I seem to enjoy doing that on my shorts, like getting right up close into the video and then going, hello. It's like a visual hook without even realizing that you're doing a hook. Man, all right. Today, I'm talking about getting out of your own way. I think so much of this life is not able to be figured out with the brain, because if we were able to do that, there are a lot of smart people that I know that wouldn't still be stuck in survival mode. And I've said before on these episodes, one of the biggest things for me, especially coming out of the agency where I'd literally fried my entire nervous system to the point where a WhatsApp message would be giving me like panic attack zings. The biggest thing that I've had to do, and it's taken me 5 years, is to slow down. I think this is why I enjoy spending time in nature. I think this is also why I find the 10-day hikes that we go on each year so key. And even that, when I was running the agency, to think that I could have gone offline for 10 days was just ludicrous. Like, I barely even was able to have a weekend. I don't think I even had a weekend. Because even if I was at home and not at work, I was still thinking about stuff, and I was still checking into my computer or thinking about clients, and always on. The problem is, when you're always on and your brain is always full, I also realized this a lot where even in between things, so like my commutes or the time outside of the office, it was still filled with things. Because obviously I was trying to learn and get out, right? So it was filled with podcasts or filled with information or filled with this. So my brain was always just being loaded. And that's also when your mind starts fracting into the I think I can, I think I can't, I think I can, I think I can't. And then there's this weird like glitching thing where you're sort of stepping in the in-between. I think this is the part, again, of the journey that nobody can articulate, because it is very personal. And the speed at which you move through these phases is all down to you. And it's just interesting to unravel some of those little trust levels within yourself. That's a big one. Commitment to yourself. I think that was the biggest one I had to snap myself out of as well, when I realized I got to the point where I was saying, oh, I want this, or I want to do this, or I want to X, Y, and then I just wasn't doing it. And I was just consistently breaking promises to myself. I was consistently saying, oh, I'll get up early and go train before work, and then I wouldn't do it. And then I just kept stacking up all the belief that I was not somebody that was capable of sticking to my word. And that was one of the biggest switches that happened. You know, I even got to the point where I was just like, just don't. Like, don't even promise yourself that you're going to get up and train tomorrow. How about you just say, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to wake up at my alarm. I'm going to go to work and I'm going to have a day. I think there's these odd little, like, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, I should be doing this. And we're already berating ourselves before we've even given ourselves the chance to just go, hang on a minute, like, I've got a lot on my plate right now. There's a lot of incoming stresses. How about we figure out first what is mine, what is not mine, what I can control, what I can't control, because already that separates the list. I remember at one point doing this, I got to the point where my mind was so busy and so full, I was just like, stop. Grabbed a pen and paper and started literally just writing out everything that was on my mind. And by the time I'd written it all out and been able to read it back, it fitted into like 3 things. It was 3 things or 2 things, but just the way that my mind was explaining it to me or complaining about it or wasting that energy, it felt like it was so many things. That was the 3 months before everything shifted. That was when it was. That was when I had my breakdown on the bus on the way home, going, this can't be fucking success. I'm fucking knackered. I was like, if that's it, if this is it, I don't want it. I don't want it. And obviously I realized that that was just a way of getting it, which is a very hard way of getting it, which a lot of people still do. We've talked about this before as well, playing life on hard mode and easy mode. And I definitely realized at that point I was playing it on very hard mode. And I just went, I don't like this game. And it was within 3 months when I'd had that breakdown and I was like, my back's starting to hurt again. I'm in a job. I've built myself into a prison and a business that I fucking hate. And I don't feel like I can step back because what's going to happen to our clients? And what was the third one? I guess figuring out what I actually wanted to do. That didn't come till later. But the first two were handled within 3 months of making that decision and writing that list and realizing it was three things. I just kind of went and like I looked up to the universe and I was like, all right, I need to fix my back and I need to figure out a way to get out of this business partnership with this person that I don't know I can work with anymore. And I hadn't realized how toxic our relationship had been and how toxic I had allowed our relationship to get. And also how much I was still navigating my own internal compasses, which I had a good sight on certain things, but I think one of the issues that I've come to find, and I think a lot of multi-passionate people will also come to find, is that they genuinely enjoy doing a lot of different things. So I also had to come to the conclusion where I was like, if it was, whether it was this agency or whether it was something else, I will find joy in something else again. I've found joy in the modeling industry and in the events work until it was no longer joyous. And then I found joy in the personal training world and in the martial arts world until my spine was starting to become an issue again. And then it was more detrimental to be working with the kids and having clients that I can't lift weights off of if they hit their failure PRs than it is to be doing something else. And so I stepped back into the creativity side, and then having feet on the ground, it felt very much like my modeling days where I was going to castings, we were running around doing shoots and we were doing all of this. And then as we started to scale it and we were trying to become the owners instead of being in the business, I was pulled out of all the things that I actually enjoyed doing, the very practical being with people, working with people, feet on the ground, all that sort of stuff. And it's just nice to see how that's kind of come full circle with everything I've been doing now, where I have my online clients, I have my online domains, and I still have been feeling like this little disconnect with the feet on the ground, rooted where I am. And so to be able to step back on the gym floor and have some of these clients in person, which is now also getting me out the house more often than not, instead of just ruminating in my own little world over here, which has been great, don't get me wrong. My sister sent me a message. She's like, oh, it must be nice to go back in. I was like, yeah, I'm feeling 50-50 about it. I've been very much enjoying hobbit life, as one of my friends calls it, and being at home and ruminating. And I needed this time to protect myself and get strong and get clear and get grounded and not have other people's opinions. I felt like I definitely had to isolate myself for so long to truly have the opportunity to form my own values and my opinions. I still laugh after my spine surgery because that was just before my 30th birthday. And sitting on the sofa in my back brace because I'd told my business partner that I was going back into the fitness industry, and just watching that life flash before my eyes and going, nope. It's something else. I don't know exactly what it is. And again, it's still kind of formulating underneath me. And I love this idea that like content has always been my way of building a new portfolio or building myself into a new life or documenting the bits that I'm enjoying and the lessons that I'm learning in order for other people to see, and then for opportunities to come to fruition without me really actually doing anything. And I think that's, again, when we live in this world of the marketing where, like, yes, technically, if you play the numbers game, if you send 100 DMs a day, if you send 100 messages, if you send 100 cold outreaches, like, by definition, probability-wise, you will get X amount of replies, and somebody in there might be interested, and you might then convert into X number. But I don't know, I always found that so exhausting, and it just reminded me of the MLM phase that we were in with the multi-level marketing stuff, where what they teach you in your sales process is to start these conversations for the sole, purpose of a sale, and to start them feeling like you're being useful or helpful, and then it's like sale, and then if you realize the person's not interested in the thing, then you kind of just drop it. And I've always got annoyed at that type of sales relationship building training that people do, because like, I do understand the nature of cold outreach. You know, if you're not on somebody's radar and they don't know about it, by sliding into their DMs, they will know about it. But I hate that ick factor. And I just reposted something from Shoshana on Instagram, and she kind of nailed it on the head, that it's like, instead of doing that cold outreach tactic, like, just focus on building something so damn cool and so damn useful and so damn valuable that it doesn't not seek out and have the people come out of the woodwork that it's for. Like, and then having the patience and having the discernment to know that you'd rather have, I don't know. Again, maybe people are fine with the numbers thing. Clearly they are. That's how a lot of people operate. And then I don't know, they cut themselves off to this other way of feeling. I think that cuts that line of the limiting belief, if I can do what I love. Because when you self-fulfill the prophecy of, if I do the cold outreach and I get X amount of money, and then you start feeding that machine, as soon as you stop feeding that machine, people become uninterested. And I guess the next step with that is then to be feeding it with ads, right? Because that's the whole create a shitty $7 PDF and then run ads. And if you get X amount of impressions and X amount of things and X amount of click-throughs, you will get X amount of money. And then you put the more money back into getting the next bid. And it only costs you $2 to sell a $7 thing. So you're making $5 on every $2 that you're spending. So the money then sort of cycles through, and you just keep regurgitating and you build it that way. And I don't know. I just don't like that, personally. Everybody else, have at it. I think that's always been something that's one of the reasons why I was never employed for very long or stayed in one place very long when I had to go into employment after my injury, is because it's just written all over my face if I don't agree with what they're doing or the way that they're doing things. And so I can't stay. I can't stay. Yeah. This is why I like working with individuals so much more, but it's also that finicky thing where we are only one person, and so how do you then build the capacity to do the cool things, but then also tell people about the cool things, and then have the confidence to invite people to the cool things? And then, what if you are starting out with having done none of this and you're doing a complete 180 turn? It's like, well, then you've got to be even more patient, because it's like doing the fitness journey stuff, right? Like, technically anybody can become a personal trainer, and if you do your own transformation, you are qualified to then, once you've obviously done the prerequisite in terms of the education, that's the word I was looking for, the education. And then it's a case of critical thinking, using frameworks, using the tools, and you only master it by having real people come through. Because again, learning things from a textbook and then having somebody in front of you that, one, might not even tell you everything that's going on, two, might not even know everything that's going on, and three, we're humans, we're weird, we have little things where, like, some person can't do a deadlift, properly because of XYZ, whereas this person can. And this person's got a right knee fucking imbalance instead, this person's absolutely fine, or it's like a left pinky finger that's gone wrong, or I don't know, something happens that then like, you can only learn viscerally through the testing. And that's why I feel like this is such an exciting time and such a low entry point in terms of actually building a personal brand online, that can just be so much more fun. I think if we take the seriousness out of it, I think where a lot of the pressure has come from, again, is this need for everything to be a big business from the get-go, or the final thing from the get-go. And I know this is where I've been ruminating the last year, where it's like I've had these frames of how I've wanted to hold everything in communities, but then it's about putting the pieces into place to make sure the people are then coming in. Like last year, after I'd been in Becca Pike's circle for the year and seen how she does it, I loved how she does it with her annual membership. And then each month there's a workshop that comes out that now she's done a few cycles in a row, that she just sort of re-updates the workshops as they come around annually. And that also ties back into being able to plan annually. And usually if you haven't been doing annual stuff, it's easy to overlook the annual cycles. Helps when you slow down again and realize it's going to pass no matter what. I definitely think it's that being in that rushed state all the time and being in that survival all the time, that there's no room for anything else to come in. And that's not to say that, don't do anything and just trust and sit and meditate all day, because that also doesn't pay the rent. But I think there's the balance initially that people are looking for is like, how quickly can you assess what it is you've been doing, figure out where your red flags are and like the shit that you really hate doing, and how do you, is it AED, automate, eliminate, or delegate straight away with those things. Sahil Bloom had put out a beautiful blog post, this must have been 3-4 years ago now, about the energy calendar. And so throughout the week, just like you track calories or track fitness stuff for a week to see what your food habits were and where you might be able to cut off a few snacks if losing weight has been part of your goals, but it's not happening. I remember the first time I did that and realized how many lattes I was drinking and how many calories that was, because it's all milk. Anyway, all the fun. Oh, I wonder why I'm not doing anything, or, why am I putting on weight? The numbers, the data. Let's have a look and see. But the energy calendar that Sahil Bloom talked about was tracking your week, and then as you go through your meetings, as you go through your tasks, at the end of each work block, just put like a red, yellow, or green. Did it drain you? Was it neutral? Or did it fuel you? Because you know what that feels like when you come out of a 2-3 hour meeting or course or session or work block or whatever, and you feel so energized to like do the next thing, or inspired, or ready to keep the ball rolling, versus coming out of something and feeling like you need like half an hour nap, or like it's time to sit on the sofa. And so being able to track those, and also then being able to group those so that you're not always doing all the same things on the same day, and that you're actually clumping together the energy draining stuff and it's being put before or after, like more at the end of your day. Because again, even just in terms of getting used to your own schedules and cycles and moods and, blocks, I think so much more about these work blocks that are a bit more maneuverable depending on what happens in the day, versus having everything so rigid and planned to the max that you don't even have a nanosecond for something to go wrong, let alone your expectation for the work block that you've already put on. I was talking to my friend Jake this morning as well, and it's like, once you're getting into these projects and things are going to be moving forward, it's so easy to set very high expectations for the little, blocks of time that you have available. And then when you get to it, you're either a bit too tired, or, it takes you 45 minutes out of your hour to even start getting into something. And then your hour's gone and you've got something else to go and do. And it's like, damn it, I was supposed to finish that at that point. And then it's like, what? Supposed to for who? Where are those, where is that coming in? And so I think it was Jess McKinley. She took one of her little time management courses, and that was what she was talking about in her rotating list, but blocks of time where it's scheduled and you're coming back to that project, and it's scheduled throughout, so that each time you're just coming back and you're adding another brushstroke, or you're adding another piece, but taking off the expectation of what's happening in that block, being as prepared as you can for it, but just allowing yourself to enjoy and do the work and move it, whether it's an inch or a mile in that session, you move it forward. And over time, the piece comes together, just like those paint by numbers things that I've been doing. I'm so glad I finished that one. It's over there, sorry, that's why I'm looking at it. But, bit by bit, it comes together, it gets done. Whether it's 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, as long as you keep coming back and putting the brush strokes in. And I think that's then how do you have the most joy, the most ease, the most fun while you're doing all of that? Because chaos is inevitable. Shit is inevitable. I will bring back my granddad's advice to my father when he was 16 and left for the cadets. He told him, son, from now on, you are in the shit. The only difference is the daily depth. Yeah, it's a lot. And it's interesting how in the last couple of weeks I've had a handful of friends go through some of the happiest and some of the saddest times in their lives at the same time. And just to be able to sit again in that paradox of light and dark, good and bad, with good comes the bad, with the bad comes the good, the duality of everything that we hold. And as you build your capacity for more, you get more light, but you also get more of this, because with everything, there's two sides to both coins. And it's like, how do we keep touching those outer edges of our capacity of the spectrum. Like, I didn't realize, I'd never felt pain and sadness and grief the way I had until my father passed. I just hadn't. And there was nothing else that could compare. So if you've experienced that earlier in your life, your capacity grows at that point, and then you've got more room to play with. But if you experience it later in your life, well, your capacity is only at this point. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that's why a lot of these entrepreneurs and business people, they say, go to the edges of your fear, deep to the depths of your shame, figure out what's going on with your guilt. Because once you hit these edges, and once you realize that another day, like, it doesn't kill you, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. There's fucking cliches for a reason. And that's it, right? Like, life's about throwing punches and getting back up and going again, and knock down 8 times, get up 10. Like, what else are we going to be doing? I definitely realized very, very, very long ago that I was unemployable, and that no matter what, I wouldn't be living in the norm, and I wouldn't be doing what others do. I've always worked in industries, even when I had to have a job, that were almost industries that were around jobs, like personal training. I work 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I have my breaks off when I get to watch everybody doom walk into the office, and then I go back in for that, and then my day's done at 2. Like, that was what my schedule was like as a personal trainer. It was never still a 9 to 9 where it takes off the biggest majority of the sunlight in the day, and you only have these little edges either side, because at the end of the day, you don't really have much capacity to do more usually, and in the morning you don't want to fucking wake up because you're tired. So, yeah. And it seems so counterintuitive, again, like I've said before, when you're in it and you want to be getting out, to feel like, slowing down and having hobbies and taking care of your health is not selfish, but when you're in that survival mode, it doesn't feel like a necessary thing to be doing. And I think I wish, like, not I wish, because I've always, like, I've known it, I've been told it, I've done the research, I just never allowed myself to believe it and live it until now. And I think if I'd have allowed myself to live it and believe it early, well, I'd be in a completely different place. That's a whole nother timeline that's honestly none of my business, because it's not what happened here. But at any given point, it is on us to step into this new part with, I'm not bringing anything with me. I'm allowing myself to be open to what is. I'm being very grounded to what is, and not putting all these preconceptions on it. And I think, yeah, it's that, like, deciding that you're going to get out of somewhere, making that decision, starting to take care of your health, taking care of your sleep, and then, carrying on with what you need to do, but allowing your mind and allowing your field to actually just start to put out that new signal of, all right, I'm ready for something different, and I'm going to start preparing myself now for new opportunities to arise, because that's that whole thing, right? When the opportunity arrives, it's too late to prepare. You've got to be ready for the opportunity to arrive. You've got to be already in training. You don't want to suddenly have to, run up a hill to save your life and not be able to fucking, break a knee or something. Like, what? There was a hilarious reel that was talking about all the high rock stuff preparing people for the World War III. And I was like, well, if, like, at least I know now if I got to run, I can run. Well, maybe not now. I've got a bone marrow edema on my right knee, which we are resting until the mountains so that we can actually walk for 10 days without a lot of pain. Not resting the whole time, just resting for the next couple of weeks. So yeah, we're going to be doing upper body strength. Oh, look at that. Oh, biceps coming out. And so yeah, in the meantime, that was it. And that was that thought. When we had signed up for High Rocks before, it's like, we got 5 weeks. Now, the amount of pain you're going to be in on the day and the amount of pain you're going to be in on the day after is totally up to you. The training's there. The training is mutual. The work is mutual. It's the importance that we put on it. And there's this fascinating thing that our brain does with the self-importance, and where it ticks over into the ego. And it's just reminding yourself constantly, it's not that serious. It's not that heavy. Even though it is very serious, and it is a lot. Like, it's creativity and your dreams and passions to be, but so many opportunities, so many things. Something I've always wanted to be for my clients, or to to remind my clients as well. It's like we can dream as big as we want, but we have to make sure that we come back down to the ground with where we are right now, because there's no point making plans from a someday starting point that is continuously pushed back because someday never arrives. That's insanity. So yeah, I'm very interested to see where you guys are at with your stories and your journeys, because this ever unfolding roller coaster that we have called life, and especially for those who are building their own on their own terms, it is a roller coaster. And we got to take the ups with the downs, but I also feel this is where it's imperative to have that 3 layers of community and people built into your life at all times. You've got the mentors that you're learning from, the peers that you're working with, that you can joke about being in the trenches with. The mentors give you the shortcuts that you sometimes believe or don't believe, but they've done it before. So finding the mentors that have done what you want to achieve already as best as you can to your knowledge, see that they've at least accomplished something that you want to accomplish and they're on the other side of it. Those are the mentors that you're looking for. The peers, anybody at your level, slightly higher, slightly lower, just anybody building and growing and on this path, because it does feel lonely sometimes. And to have those conversations where you can just go, it is crap. Like this work is tough and it's hard and but it's so fulfilling and it's so annoying at the same time. It's just like, I'd choose it again any day. So finding those other people that are choosing this, I don't know, awakening by fire, trial by fire, like this way of living. Oh, and it's only going to get more better and more fun with the tech that's coming. And I think, yeah, that's the best bit. Sorry. And then the third one is having clients and customers who you are teaching, who you are guiding, who you are helping and serving. 3 layers. Oh, yeah. And then, of course, you have to have your pit crew, which is your close people that also can have nothing to do with your job and your work and your life. I think it's also really important to have those friends where work isn't the only topic of conversation, and they love you for you and not because of what you do for business or money or anything like that. Very important. And I've been talking and not drinking any of my tea again. Well, Thursday. This is week 6, guys. I like how these are developing. I'm going to be very intrigued to start getting some of these questions back as well and seeing what you guys want to talk about and dive into, because I'm so game when it comes to that. Like, tear it all up, brainstorm it all, and then blaze forward together. It's the right time. And we've got the energies of the universe coming to back the creatives this year. 2027 is a big switch. So yeah, if you have that feeling, if you have that inkling, it is not going to go away. Especially if you know you want to work for yourself. It'll never go away. So let's make it fun. Let's make it amazing. Let's all earn as much as we possibly can so that we can help everybody around us. And we can buy our loved ones the things that we know are special. It's not all about the material things as well either. It's the little things. The little things. It's hard to be thoughtful when you're broke. I think that's the toughest part. That was always the part I hated about not having money. I'm not saying that I have loathed it now, but I know it's coming because I've also switched that thought in my brain of money being a selfish thing, and now I'm realizing being broke is actually more selfish because this is silly. Like, with the love and the generosity and the kindness in your hearts that I know so many people out there have, we need. I'll say it again, and I will say it until the end. We need more good people earning good money. All right? It's our time. It's our turn, because we do good with it. And I think just remember that. And when you find more good people, it only makes it more obvious how silly it was to think how it was all just shit. Because, of course, there's always going to be shit. But there is also going to be light. And when you start finding more people who are light, and who bring the light, and who are fueled by light and kindness, and have a fucking sense of humor and morals, and do good for people because they are good people. That's the communities that I want to build. That's the people that I want to connect. Those are the creators that I want in my corner and I want to build around me, because holy crap, there is enough room at the top for all of us. And it's just starting to get exciting. I'd love to know what you're working on. So message below, and I've hit 30 minutes. Woohoo! I don't know why. I like when I stop the timer at a round number. So I'm going to say goodbye. I will see you tomorrow morning for tea with Maya before I head into my clients. And yeah, hope you're having an amazing week wherever you are in the world. Let me know.